I want to do a deep dive into Marxism and communism, actually. The 45 communist goals, they were put out in 1963. Congressman Albert S. Herlong Jr. from Florida read the list of 45 communist goals for America into the Congressional Record. The purpose of him reading this was to gain insight into liberal elite ideas and strategies for America that sound awfully familiar today. So we know that this was the goal back in 1963. I think it was actually, they did this in 1943, I believe. And they put it out in 1963. This is a list of 45 goals. We're not going to go through everything. So one of the first ones I want to start off with is the number 15, to capture one or both of political parties in the U.S.
Check.
Yeah, it's done.
Check.
Yeah. I mean, and we are all Republicans, but it's within the Republican Party as well.
Absolutely.
They just infiltrated a different way.
Absolutely. We see Republicans, they're wavering. They don't know what their goals are, or what the Republican Party stands for. I'm saying we collectively, we can fight against something, but we really don't do a good job of clarifying what we actually stand for. And to our elected leaders in Congress and Senate, state level, federal level, certainly, we see all this wavering. Look at right now, this government budget playoff or whatever, right? This battle. How long have we been going through this? Every year, we can't even get a budget passed, and then it wavers, we're spending too much, and then there comes this negotiation, and we wind up spending even more. Right. So even on the Republicans, and certainly on the Democratic side, the Republicans have been bought and sold by this agenda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to go through 17 and 19 as well. Get control of the schools, use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda, soften the curriculum, get control of teachers associations, put the party line in textbooks. And then number 19 is they use student riots to foment public protests against programs or organizations that are under communist attack. We saw all of this.
Check.
Yeah, it's very disturbing going through these goals, because most of them have been achieved.
Yeah.
It's really, really scary. And get control of the schools. Yes. So they took control of most of higher institutions like colleges, but also schools. So there's obviously no religion in public schools. If you look at textbooks, there's a lot of these Marxism in there. Now we have the CRT, and all this equity agenda all of that is part of a communist agenda, and it's being promoted as something benevolent.
Exactly.
Right. And we saw this just in Florida. I mean, the whole back and forth with DeSantis and this African-American studies course that the BLM and the left was trying to push. He was saying he did not have anything against pushing African-American history, but when you went into the actual course, which we did a show on, we read the course, and it clearly showed they were pushing CRT, they were pushing gender theory, and all types of stuff in what was supposed to be an African-American history course.
Right. Even something that I'm saying simple, not meaning that it's unimportant, even something as simple as our public school system in general, where we have many students, I think it was in Maryland or even a national poll I heard today, 20% or more, up to a quarter of students are below grade level in math. So we don't have enough parents even causing an uproar, if you will, starting the rightful or righteous protest that your children are not even being educated at grade level. So that's a lot of acceptance. It's like, oh, well, we'll keep sending them to school. We'll keep, taking the debate that we need more money. We need more money. Classrooms are still getting larger. Teachers are getting more money. The unions are getting more money, but our children are getting dumber.
So I want to move on to just two other things here. Number 20 on this list and number 21. 20 is to infiltrate the press, get control of book review assignments, editorial writing, policy making positions. And 21 goes right along with it, gain control of key positions in radio, TV, and motion pictures.
Checkmate.
Yeah. And we have seen that in the film that we watched about Ronald Reagan.
Right.
So that was going on already in his time. I mean, that's when the Soviet Union still existed, is that they go into these influential groups such as the actors. And now, so we have actors being activists, and it's still the case. I mean, they're very much and they're always promoting the left.
Right. The media are very much activists as well. And another thing about this list, and it just dawned on me, this came out in 1963 for the Congressional Record. That was the same year that prayer was removed from school in the case. So Madeline Mary O'Hare,
right here in Maryland.
Yeah, she took that case to the Supreme Court, and prayer was removed from school based on the separation of church and state. So again, this pivotal time, particularly in the 60s, baby boomers, the civil rights, all of these huge, momentous social, cultural impacts happened a lot at that time, and we are still living the ramifications.
Because that's one of the goals, number 28, eliminate prayer or any phase of religious expression in the schools on the ground that it violates the principle of separation of church and state. So they dug up this idea of the separation of church and state that actually was not in it's not in the Constitution. It's not really a fundamental idea of the United States. It was, the reason for that was because there's no one particular religion, such as Catholicism or Anglicanism, is not one religion in America. However, this is what they brought up in order to justify this total separation. But now we have, what do we have in schools? We have
chaos.
We have promiscuity. We have children dressing up as animals, pretending to be animals. It's total chaos.
Yeah. And also part of that number 21, to infiltrate the press and gain control of key positions within the press, TV, radio. We see this breaking news out this week. Leftist billionaire and Democratic mega donor George Soros has been leaning on the Democrat-controlled FCC for months in hopes of fast-tracking his group's acquisition of over 200 radio stations in over 40 markets, including stations that run shows like Glenn Beck, Mark Levine, Eric Erickson, Sean Hannity, and the list goes on. On Wednesday, which I believe is today, the FCC reportedly adopted an order to approve the purchase, meaning that in a matter of days, George Soros will likely take control of communications to over 165 million Americans with the help of unvetted foreign investors whom Democrats have spared from the FCC's customary national security review process. This is the agenda, and they have gone with it.
Right.
Right. And then and then here in Baltimore, we have David Smith, who is owner of Sinclair Broadcasting, which has this radio station, Fox 45. And the leftist people here, leftists in government, Democrat control, it drives them crazy to have an independent news station, the only one. And they go after him tooth and nail, trying to get him out of the news station business, discounting the stories that he puts out and all kinds of things, when most of the news here in Baltimore is to the left.
Right. What I think many of us may not understand, and I'm not saying I understand it fully, but many of the media stations, radio, TV, things like that, they are privately owned, but there's so many layers and hidden ownership and I don't know, whatever you want to call equity or whatever. So they can sell their shares and people can buy this and buy a part of this. So then they can get bigger conglomerates, if you will. So all of this inner work workings. Then you have Soros who comes in and he wants to buy markets that have been sold over and over again. You don't know whose hands they may be in. So this information could be privately held, whatever the case may be. But the point is that we are getting fed all of this information, and we as Americans need to do a better job of vetting it, right? Conservative media, maybe we don't do a good enough job of investing and taking stock in our own fields, if you will.
Right, right. And I just wanted to add that there's also some of the other goals are really disturbing as well. And that's kind of like what you were saying, that people need to be discerning about what they're watching, what they're listening to, even when it's not news, if it's just like entertainment, because like we were saying, they infiltrate every aspect of media. So for example, 25, break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and TV. 26, present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. So that is something also to be discerning, because people, we kind of don't think about it. We might just be, I don't know, enjoying the show or something. But we're not realizing that it's infiltrating our minds and our souls. Like one of the examples was a long time ago, there was this movie and the play going around, Mamma Mia. And, it was really fun. People enjoyed it. But if you really look into it, you can see the agenda. You know what they're promoting.
Yeah, the thing,
and it's not traditional.
What makes it more egregious and I don't know, more degenerate, if you can do that, if you can say that, children. When this is promoted to children as normal, children whose minds and brains are not fully developed. Remember, children can get abortions when they're 14 and 13. They can tell you their minds are not fully developed, but they can make those kinds of choices, right? And that's okay on the left, on the media, with a lot of this media and propaganda. But when children are corrupted, what do they grow up to be? Especially when they don't have a normality or normalcy. They don't have a sense of morality, right or wrong. They don't have a sense of God says it's wrong and it's evil to do X, Y, Z.
And this agenda is in the children's movies, children cartoons.
Right. And that's the scary thing about this all, because these are agenda and motives and things that they're putting in place through the government and through our systems and things like that. Our institutions have they're codifying these things within those. Infiltrate the churches, number 27, and replace revealed religion with social religion. I mean, guys, we see this.
Hallelujah.
Discredit the
Bible. Is there such a thing as double checkmate in church?
No. Discredit the Bible and emphasize the need for intellectual maturity, which does not need a religious crutch. Number 28, eliminate prayer or any phase of religious expression in the schools on the grounds that it violates the principle of separation of church and state. You said that. I'm sorry. And then 29, discredit the American Constitution by calling it inadequate, old-fashioned, out of step with modern needs, a hindrance to cooperation between nations on a worldwide basis. We just saw this last week. I forget somebody was pushing that the Constitution was an old document.
They said it on the left. And keep in mind too, those two agenda you just read items, keep in mind that our Constitution prohibits the government from establishing a religion. It prohibits the government from limiting our speech. So if the Constitution is old and doesn't matter, this is what they want to do. You have to get rid of number 1 first, because then all the rest of them will fall. So if you say that church and state, that the separation of church and state, no, it prohibits the government. People can do what they want, within means or whatever. We can make up and we can say, no, I don't want to pray that prayer here, or I don't want to pray it in school because I choose to, not because the government says you can or cannot. That's not the place on the purview of the government. So if you get rid of the Constitution, then that goes out the window. And that means the government can say, hey, I can make it up as I go. And because I'm the government, because I have the power, because I'm in charge, then you all peons have to follow what I say.
Yeah.
Number 30, discredit the American founding fathers, present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. I've been hearing this over and over from the young people. They were just old white men,
rich racists.
They're just racist.
Slaveholders.
Exactly. That's all. That's how, unfortunately, the new generation sees the founding fathers. So they have, this is scary.
Yeah. It certainly is. And there's a couple other ones I want to get to, but you guys have to read this list. But two of the most important ones: discredit the family as an institution, encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. This stuff is happening. Number 41, emphasize the need to raise children away from negative influence of parents. Attribute prejudices, mental blocks, and retarding of children to suppressive influence of parents.
Translation: parents are the enemy of their own children.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
We're seeing this, guys. We're seeing this all over the country, in California, in Minnesota, where the vice president hails from. He has pushed a bill that actually is in law now that separates parents from children if they do not affirm their transgender identity.
And add to that, KJ, that bill also allows parents or children from other states, not even in Minnesota, as wrong as that is, but you can bring your child from another state. Not only you, any person that wants to claim that you are unfit as a parent because you're not acknowledging your child, your 5-year-old or your 6-year-old, saying, no, mommy, I'm a boy, or no, mommy, I'm a girl, when you know you gave birth to one sex versus the other, right? So anybody can come along, a teacher, a friend, whomever, and take you to Minnesota and say, oh, this child's parents will not affirm his or her gender, whatever that child says it is.
And one thing about Marxists is that they think that they're very intellectual. They don't believe in God. So one thing about Marxism, there is no God. It's all material. And they elevate psychiatrists and psychology. And I'm not saying that there's no place for psychology, but at the same time, they're putting these so-called medical professionals above everything else, above tradition, above family, above God. And they have done that in communist countries where they tried to take over the society. Like in the Soviet Union, they removed people from native populations from their families and put them in institutions. And so that's what they want to do here. But I just want to say also, unfortunately, Russia was taken over by communists at some point. It's no longer communist. So I'm from Russia, and when you read these, and might seem like, Russia is, because there's words that's like it mentions in here, but that's not the case anymore over there. However, communists are literally in every country, and we need to be vigilant of them wherever you are.
Yeah, guys, I wanted to just bring this to you. Again, this is the 45 Communist Goals for America. We wanted to bring this to you because this is happening, guys. This was an agenda that they had from the very beginning, all the way back in 1943, and we are seeing it play out. But we see the left and the elites say, we're looking into it. This isn't happening. This is nonsense. There's no there. Guys, there was an agenda. We can see it happening. It's happening. It is the truth. So don't let them tell you it's not happening. I want to acknowledge our super chatter here. Yes. Says that with the $5 super chat says they hate the Constitution because it blocks them. Obama admitted this on live TV. Remember, the Second Amendment protects the other amendments. Absolutely.
Right, And speaking of, what they want to do is they want to equalize everyone, the whole world.
Make us all equally poor.
Yeah. So America, it has always been this, was a house on the hill. And so they want to destroy America. So then there is no, one country, is elevated in some way. No, everyone is kind of equally mediocre.
We're equally up the creek.
And that brings us to the next topic, Stephanie. But guys, this is something you need to share when these goals you need to share with your family, friends on your timelines, because this is the blueprint of what we're seeing now and then what they have intended for us in the future.